in the eBadge Academy, we provide 2 prompts for every single core competency badge. The first prompt is always based on skills. And again, we're typically just asking for an example of the applicant's work that shows their skills in this area. The second prompt is always about values. And typically what we're asking for here is just an explanation of how the values of our profession, particularly the values that are showcased in the NADSP Code of Ethics, are illustrated in this example that you're providing. So if you think about it, you're going to be submitting essentially 2 paragraphs. The first paragraph is going to be about how you can show your skills in this area, how you have shown your skills in this area. The second prompt is going to be a little more reflective and asking you to tie in the values, tie in the NADSP Code of Ethics to this example. And just as an example of a badge, here's one of our badges. This is our community networking badge. So like every badge in the core competency category, this badge has a skill statement. Every badge is tied to one particular skill statement from those CMS core competencies. And in this case, it's skill statement 10A, that the direct support professional encourages and assists individuals in connecting with others and developing social and valued social or work roles based on his or her choices. So this badge comes from the community inclusion and networking core competency. And you may notice that all the core competency badges have the same color scheme. They're all sort of orange and green. And all the badges that are tied to the community inclusion and networking competency will have the same image on the badge. This skyline will be in every badge that is tied to the community inclusion and networking CMS core competency. We also crosswalked these badges to our original 15 NADSP competencies. And in this case, this badge ties in with the competency of community and service networking from the NADSP competencies. And then like every badge, we provide 2 prompts to kind of get the process started in putting together your testimonial. So the first prompt, or the skills prompt for this badge, says describe one example where you used community networks to help a person you support make connections in their community. And the second prompt, or the values prompt, says explain why it is important for DSPs to assist people in making connections to people or resources in their community. So the first prompt is essentially tell us how you've done this. And the second prompt is essentially tell us why this is important. And we do have an example here. We did do a pilot program for the eBadge Academy, and this is a real submission that came in during that pilot period. So this DSP submitted their testimonial in writing. That's one option that you have, to submit in writing. You also have the option to do an audio recording and upload an audio recording of yourself just telling this story. But in this case, it came in writing. He said, I'm going to assign a false name to the person I have assisted in community networking. We will call him Roy. Now, one of the things that's really important to us at NADSP, one of the tenets of our code of ethics is confidentiality. And we don't want anyone to breach confidentiality through their participation in the eBadge Academy. So anytime you're talking about the people that you're supporting, we want to make sure that you're not using real names, that you're not including any individually identifying information. So this is going to be pretty typical, that you're going to not use real names, and you're going to make it very clear to your reviewer that you're not using real names. So I'm going to assign a false name. We will call him Roy. I've worked with Roy for approximately 6 months. I've seen his interest in using the local library. He uses the library computer to read the news, to research things he's interested in, especially the New York Yankees, music, and some other things. He also uses social media. Roy's been introduced to Facebook. He's using Facebook to make positive and new connections and to reconnect with former social connections. He's reestablished contact with some of his family members. This has helped him with feeling more connected to his peers, family, and community. So that's the response to that first prompt, that skills prompt, which is describe one example where you use community networks to help a person you support make connections to in their community. The second paragraph here is a response to the values prompt. I think it's important for DSPs to help people go to the same places that everyone else goes and to get to know people. Based on my short but close relationship with Roy, I believe he's learned to trust me so that he can form his own relationships and community connections. So that's a response to that second prompt, that values prompt. Explain why it is important for DSPs to assist people in making connections to people or resources in their community.